long time ago, in a galaxy far, far away.
You like me because I'm a scoundrel. There aren't enough scoundrels in your life.
I happen to like nice men.
Nice man.
Very nice.
So, boy, oh boy, you guys are going to have a laugh on this one. The Bad Batch has opened up. I think it's done pretty well. I mean, I like it. The story's going well. And, you know, there's nothing woke in it. There's nothing that, frankly, pisses anybody off. I'll give you a spoiler alert. Hunter and Wrecker catch up with Omega and Crosshair. And that's where we left it. Okay, so Omega and Crosshair, Hunter and Wrecker are back into the fold, as much as the fold is, because, well, Tech is gone, we think. So, you know, I do pay attention sometimes to credits, and I'm not looking for anything in particular, maybe a voice actor. But Ben Shapiro probably alerted to somebody on the X platform caught a podcast called The Daughters of Ferrix, screaming at StarWars.com and at Disney Plus over the dead naming of a trans man or woman. I don't know what even this is. And they were freaking out to the point where they got Disney Plus to respond back to them saying they would fix it. Why do you care? First off, again, this goes right back to the original thing I was talking about. These people are pointless. They have absolutely zero priorities, and they really don't even understand that what they want is literally the last thing anybody should care about. But here we are talking about this, and as much as I'm not a fan of Shapiro's, he's definitely a neocon in lots of ways. I'm glad he did this because first off, you're always looking for content, right? Something to talk about. Well, guess what? Daughters of Ferrix, you gave me something to talk about. In this day and age, when we've got soaring inflation, a border that's leaking like the Titanic, and issues with the trans community being violent, we've got this garbage. Okay, first off, Johns Hopkins University, the head of psychiatry there, basically said what trans people need is psychiatric help. Body dysmorphia is not something that can be fixed by physically altering a human being. In fact, trans people have more of a chance, there's a higher rate of suicide amongst trans people than there is in any other group, because what they get out of it doesn't help them, not even a little bit, okay? And it's stunning to me when I see this, because the Daughters of Ferrix obviously are fourth wave feminists, and they don't realize what they're doing is hurting women, okay? There are entities out there, and I'm not going to talk about it in great detail. There are entities out there within the world who would like to see women erased completely. And how do you do that? By letting men in places where they're really never been and they're not allowed. Women's spaces, locker rooms, bathrooms. There have been many sexual assaults because of it, right? Okay, so we've got this issue where you've got men who are saying they want to be women, but they're fetishizing women's bodies and attacking women in the places where they should be safe. You've got feminists like the Daughters of Ferex demanding a tranny stopped being called by their birth name, okay? You know, and when you try to explain to these people that you can, you know, cut the appendages off or make it so that they'll go up inside or something like that, whatever they do to pretend that, to make you pretend, or to give you the props to pretend you're the opposite sex. What they fail to realize is that this doesn't help anybody, okay? This doesn't make a person the opposite sex. And the reason why is because you have chromosomes in your body. An XX, they're called sex chromosomes. An XX chromosome is a woman. An XY chromosome is a man, period. Those will never change, okay? Those will never, ever, ever change. And the reason why is because that's just not how science, that's just not how heredity and genetics and biology works, okay? First off, there is no such thing as settled science, okay? A man can't be a woman and a woman can't be a man. You can castrate a man, you can cut things off of a woman, but now you've just got somebody who's altered forever. And you're telling them that now they're the opposite sex, and everybody has to go along with it. Okay, first off, you're giving into the person's narcissism. Second of all, they're not getting the help they need. This is not gender affirming, okay? Thirdly, as Joe Rogan was talking about, it is a social contagion. It is not that there are that many people out there. It is that they're trying to get as many people as they can. And the person that Joe Rogan was interviewing was Dr. Phil. He said it. Now, I'm pretty sure Oprah Winfrey would be screaming at him as when she's challenged on her bullshit, she tends to roll her eyes and look at people like they're idiots, but hey, what the hell? And that's the issue, okay? What is dead naming? Obviously, this Dina person's actually was born Dean, okay? So she's a he, probably never really got any help for the problems that they have, probably has no idea how to get help. And I'm going to tell you something. This person's going to wake up one day if they go and get the big operation, look at themselves and say, what the hell did I do to myself? And they'll have no one to blame but themselves. Now, that's not to say that there aren't children out there, little girls, little boys, who at the age of 12 are bullied by mothers suffering from Munchausen's by proxy, forcing them to do something that they don't want to do. Okay. All right, let's talk about this more, because how is this connected to Star Wars? How is this connected to Kathleen Kennedy? And we shall get into it further.
asshole.
I thought one just drew a pentagram on the floor and chanted, "I summon thee," 3 times.
So how did this happen? Well, it started in 2016 after The Force Awakens came out, which was, I'm going to say The Force Awakens was like semi-woke. It was getting there. And Rian Johnson just went over the edge. 2016, Ghostbusters 2016 came out. They kill off Peter Venkman. It was an all-woman cast. And it was a horrible. Paul Feig, the director, writer of it, has literally, by Dan Aykroyd, been drummed out of Sony Studios. He will never be allowed there on that lot again because he didn't listen to Dan Aykroyd. Kind of like how this bitch didn't listen to George Lucas and didn't defend what he was about. And the reason why is because she wanted to be cool, and she allowed Star Wars to embrace fourth wave feminism and hired directors who wouldn't challenge her. You can tell a woman's insecurity by how she behaves around men. Kathleen Kennedy is a very insecure woman. Let me just put that out for you guys right there. And she went out of her way to erase and ruin what George Lucas built. And I mean everything, not just Star Wars, but Indiana Jones. They literally had to refilm the end because she was going to erase Indy. I mean, completely erase him from history and give it all to her hero, Helena Shaw. The typical skinny, ratty-looking British brunette that she thinks she is. And, that's what happened. So now we've got the Daughters of Ferrix bitching about a tranny being dead named by being on in the credits as a composer with his actual birth name. His name is Dean, okay? It is not Dina. It is not Deanna. It is not Doris. It is Dean, okay? And I'm going to say this, in 20 years from now, a lot of these people who embrace this as children are going to grow up being really upset at the fact that they can't have children, that they were lied to their whole lives by this movement, and watching the Daughters of Ferrix, who look, they obviously they love Andor. They hate men. They're obviously extremely woke. I mean, look at their Twitter account. And they aren't really interested in good stories. And did they actually ever see the actual original Star Wars? No. Of course they didn't. And if they did, they wouldn't understand it because, first off, millennials and Zoomers are not well educated. They're not. They're not. The reason why I say that is because they don't think critically. They're indoctrinated. Indoctrinated people don't think critically. And if you look at the history of Nazi Germany, China, even now, and any other fascist or communist country, indoctrination is the name of the game, not education. And the reason why it is because they cannot allow themselves to actually educate people to ask questions. If you ask a question, look, the Soviet Union used to put dissidents in mental hospitals, and it wasn't because they were crazy. It's because they realized they'd been given a ball of shit. All right, they realized everything around them was a lie. Alexander Solzhenitsyn talked about that. Okay, what Daughters of Ferrix are doing is lying to themselves and perpetuating the lie and embracing woke shit. Okay, and attacking Lucasfilm and Disney Plus for daring to refer it to a man by his given name, because now he's pretending he's a woman because of reasons. Okay, God knows what the reasons are. He doesn't even know what the reasons are. Okay, because he's not, look, if you look at your feelings as being more relevant than reality, you're going to be a very sad person in the end. And I am one of these people who will not allow reality to be ignored. And I will not allow people like this to continue to attack and demand attention when they don't deserve it. And Lucasfilm and Disney Plus said, okay, we'll fix it, and they did. Okay, so then you got people complaining, going, well, it's fixed here, but it's not fixed there. Why do you even care? I'm asking about priorities. We've got war in the Ukraine. All right, we've got idiots in NATO wanting to go and help Ukraine, which will lead to nuclear war, which is, honestly, I think the globalist dream come true, because most of them think that they'll outlast a 50 megaton nuclear bomb, nuclear winter, and the environmental disaster that would occur. But here we are, war in the Middle East that could have been avoided. We've got rebels off the coast of Saudi Arabia and Yemen sinking cargo ships. And we've got illegal aliens murdering nursing students. But hey, worrying about a fake idea of dead naming a guy who is a guy, he's not a girl. I doubt he's ever had the transitional surgery, and even if he did, he would still be a guy. Chromosomes are the last word on this. We're worried about that. We don't give a shit about anything else. It's interesting to note is that these guys here, these women here in this podcast are taking a look at Star Wars from a political, historical, and queer perspective. What the fuck does this even have to do with Star Wars? Absolutely fucking nothing. And who's to blame? Kathleen Kennedy. Okay? She was the one that encouraged this garbage. But let me explain something else. Okay, and get ready. This garbage is not making Star Wars more popular. Okay? And every time scumbags like the Daughters of Ferrix open out their giant, Sarlacc-like mouths and start puking garbage out and ignorant shit and heterophobic shit out there, more people are inclined not to watch the movies, not to watch the shows. Because even if the shows aren't woke, people like Geeks and Gamers, etc., are going to say they're woke because of bitches like the Daughters of Ferrix or whatever they are. So this is the problem right here, ladies and gentlemen. These people need to be told you can have whatever you want as long as you do it yourself. And instead, they become part of what they think is their fandom and have infected all of society with their evil garbage. Yes, Dr. Phil is right. This is a social contagion, and it must be stopped, okay? All right, and it's not just to save the culture. They're victimizing children now. And look, I'm sure the Daughters of Ferrix love the idea of grooming little girls and little boys. How else are they going to make more of them? They can't reproduce. This is where we're at. And they're on X, Twitter X. Put out your feelings to them because they need to know. They've pushed way too many buttons. And that's the only reason why they're doing it. They can't be happy in their own little bubble. They have to fucking come around us. And they have to victimize us and our kids. This is Steph signing out. I'll see you around the galaxy.